No way, Jose.
The following footage proves beyond any doubt that the tanks intentionally set the house on fire. It proves that the Branch Davidians were murdered. You can see that this tank has a gas jet on the front that shoots fire. You can also see the fire quite plainly. The tank goes into the house twice, and each time as it backs out, the fire at the gas jets is plainly visible.
We must all do more to recognize and look for the early warning signals that deeply troubled young people send.
Good morning. Welcome to the No Way Jose podcast. This is the morning dump that you're watching, my morning stream where I hang out with y'all and we go through a lot of the current events and maybe some old stuff as well. Kind of like your morning dump, just kind of going through whatever thing you want to peruse for the day. So that's mostly what this is just a bookmarked folder that I save a bunch of stuff and then go through it with you guys. And then, I don't know, one good way that my buddy Jacob Winograd put it recently, it's almost like a funnel. So then from there, this kind of generates ideas. And then later in my specific episodes, like, for example, the episode I have coming out on Thursday, or on Friday, which is my interview with Jonathan Franklin, who is a reporter who interviewed McVeigh in jail. It gives me ideas for stuff like that, depending, obviously that one I don't think was generated here, but just throwing it out there, just kind of like, this is just a research environment where I hang out with y'all, we go through the different things, some of this stuff is stuff I've gone through before, some of it's not, but it's just mostly just hanging out with y'all, and I'm glad to have y'all with me. One of the things that we're covering, the reason I kind of alluded to the Jonathan Franklin thing, there was something in there that was brought up, and so and then my buddy, Richard Booth had written a whole piece about that specific little niche subject that I didn't know anything about, so we'll probably go through that today. Guys, let me know if you're there, if you're hearing me good, if I'm looking good, sounding good, all that. I got Scoopity it says, "Hey fam," over on Twitter. "Hey dude, what is up?" I guess you guys over Twitter. It says PM. I don't know what's going on with that. But it's a pleasure to be with you guys today. I'm looking at, I see, okay, cool. I'm good over on Rumble. Let's, I guess, no one said if I sound good or not, but I guess we'll go ahead and get into some content. I got this, one of the first things I saw, one of the things I got for you guys today is I guess some people recently kind of copped up to that, they were doing some shenanigans with, how do I put this? With the TikTok ban stuff, which I don't even know what the deal is. Does anyone know? Any of you guys know what the current deal is with the TikTok ban? I know plenty of people still use TikTok. Is it like, now do you need a VPN? What is even the deal? What is banned here? But either way, I guess let's go ahead and get into that. Let's bring this up.
The way this is played out on social media has dominated the narrative, and you have a social media ecosystem environment in which context, history, facts get lost, and the emotion, the impact of images dominates. And we can't discount that. But I think it also has a very, very, very challenging effect on the narrative.
Yeah, a small parenthetical point, which is some wonder why there was such overwhelming support for us to shut down potentially TikTok or other entities of that nature. If you look at the postings on TikTok and the number of mentions of Palestinians relative to other social media sites, it's overwhelmingly so among TikTok broadcasts. So I'd note that's of real interest, and the president will get the chance to make action in that regard.
Now, normally after a clip like that, we'd like to help people read between the lines, because sometimes politicians speak in code.
Not there.
Sometimes they don't. Sometimes they tell you exactly what they're thinking. Another case is...
I see Joey Poopbag saying, "What's up, loser? What is up, dude? Glad to have you here with us." I guess this is an old clip. I guess this is Mitt Romney and Anthony Blinken saying exactly that. The idea of this was to the needed. It says, "As I show below, key GOP sponsors admit they got the needed votes because TikTok allowed too much Israel criticism." Here's Mitt Romney, Anthony Blinken in May saying this. So this is before. I guess the key issue here is Trump denounced it, and he just urged SCOTUS to block implementation because that did get pushed through. So I guess. Trump, surprisingly, I guess this is for some reason I hadn't watched this yet. I thought there was something specific in the video, like bombshell. My bad. I should have looked into that one a little bit. That one is yeah. I mean, really, like, I guess it just was a slip, a Freudian, or no, I guess not even a slip, just straight up saying it. So I mean, we all kind of, or not we all, but at least those of us who have seen through the shenanigans of Israel and its connection to our country, have kind of saw through that we knew that was why. Let's be real. Like we all knew, like that's, let's be real. But yeah, I guess the key thing here is that I guess Trump is actually still pushing to block implementation. So he just asked the Supreme Court. I mean, although that doesn't really mean anything that he's doing that, but because I don't really know what sway that really is going to have on him. But I guess it's just still interesting that Trump still has that stance, considering what a incredible Zionist he had. But there you go. You guys, Glenn Greenwald follows up. So Trump didn't take a position on the ban's constitutionality. He clearly wants to protect key TikTok investors, including a major donor of his, by ensuring it's not banned but sold to a company the USG is more comfortable with. Biden still supports the ban. Okay. All right. So yeah, I guess it's more just they're implying that it's a business thing specifically. All right. Let's check in the chat, see what you all have to say. I see Arcane saying Elon did snap, and I sent you a Twitter DM piece of evidence. Yeah, I guess let me see. Let me go to my profile, actually. I wanted to show there was somebody who did respond to this. And I mean, no shade to this person. She seems nice. She said, Elon snapping, LG, because I put out a little thing. I said, going live in 1 hour, talk about Jimmy Carr dying, Elon snapping, some old OKC bombing lore, and more. Obviously, the episode you're watching right now. And then this lady, Kat, she commented, she's a mutual. She seems nice enough. I don't really know much about her, except for I followed her recently when she said she lost her account for something. I forget what related. But so I was like, you get a follow for that. And so this is my first interaction with her. I don't know. But anyways, point being, she's not being shitty or anything. She says, Elon snapping, LOL Jesus, people act like they can't have disagreements on politics. Now, I'll give her the benefit of the doubt that she's not following every little tidbit, that she's not terminally online. Because there was, we'll go through all that in a bit, but Snap maybe, I put here, Snap may be a smidge hyperbolic, but he definitely came a little undone. If anything, I actually probably agree more with him on the original issue, which I explained to you guys on the last episode, kind of where I am when it comes to like immigration. I mean, I don't even really know enough about H-1B. I guess, like I said, I've learned a little bit more as I go, but I still, not by choice. I've not really like looked into it on my own, just kind of hearing things associated to this whole stuff going on. I've kind of sort of learned more. It seems like it is kind of a cheap work program. Sounds borderline like in modern day indentured servitude. I still don't know where I really fall on it. I don't know. Maybe the ANCAP in me is kind of like legal slaves. Sounds cool. I don't know. I'm point being is I don't have a strong opinion on it. So if anything, I might actually lean more towards like Elon and Vivek on this, but it's really just the way that's gone about. And also just everyone who wants to act like it's artificial, the pushback they've gotten. Like, I'm okay with saying that, like, I mean, because once again, I don't have a strong opinion on this. So it's like, it's not like hurting my feelings if I'm not with the mob. But I don't think I'm with the mob on this one. Like, I mean, I don't know, maybe if I looked into it more, I would be. But that's just the way it is. I mean, It's funny too because I actually was just before this looking at a tweet of Elon's. Someone because I was looking for stuff for the show before this, and it was a recent one, and it kind of added to. He said something about like what political entity they would use when they got to Mars, and he said something along the lines of like, "I'd prefer direct democracy as opposed to representative." And you're like, "Oh, this guy he just doesn't get it. He just I don't know. He's just not." I don't know. Yeah. Anyways, point being is kind of like he's like upset that the mob is like, because all of this kind of started. We talked about this last episode on him getting ratioed by like a $300 account, and it continued over the weekend. I guess I'm kind of jumping ahead of the goose here. A lot of you guys may not know. I'm assuming a lot. We talked about this on Friday. Some of the stuff that happened on Twitter. Well, it spiraled and it got more out of control and more crazy stuff happening. So I put here, I could actually probably agree with him more on the original issue, but that's no longer the issue to me. Once he started removing accounts / check marks like monetization and putting in more tools to deboost dissidents. Which once again, like as I said, it seems like it heavily is implied this came after on the feet of like getting ratioed. And honestly, a lot of Elon's what Radix Farron's been referring him to as their ball washers have been getting ratioed too, and they're not liking it. So I really just think there's a genuine, authentic pushback against this H1B thing, and people want to say it's artificial. I've seen Tim Pool and other people saying shit like how it's artificial. I think you're just either willful, like you either are knowingly wrong or just not, you just don't have your finger on the pulse there. Because I mean, it seems authentic to me. All the people that are going, I mean, I know a lot of people who are genuinely upset about it and feel certain ways. So I think it's authentic. And a lot of people are saying that, oh, they threw bots on it. And trust me, I think there have been cases where people do that. I don't think this is one of them. I think the influencer class here is just really kind of reeling in that they're not, because essentially, let's be real, a lot of these guys are incentivized to just kind of fall in line with Elon, or to find a way to twist things to be in accordance with Elon, because their monetary incentives go that way. These people are making good money off Twitter, so it makes sense, and obviously it helps to be boosted. Even aside from the direct money you receive from Twitter, the amplification of your message for whatever given product you have to push off, it helps to be loud on Twitter, to be able to be heard. So it doesn't really behoove you to go against him, especially in light of this past weekend where, and we'll get into this, the people that did try to step up to multiple people stepping up to Elon, they get slapped down. So it looks like he's playing monarch of Twitter, which to some extent is fine. It's his product. But like, don't fucking say, oh, this is a free speech platform or whatever. Which, to be fair, free speech technically, as we libertarians understand it, it's like, I don't get to go anywhere I want, say anything I want. I can't go to somebody else's house and call him and his family a faggot and expect a bunch of faggots and expect to be able to stay in his house. Like, he's probably going to kick me out. So I don't have free speech on other people's houses. So it really comes down to property rights. So technically there's no free speech thing, but people know what you mean when you say that. Like not this. Like this is not what they mean. So you're just denigrating your product. So, I mean, whatever. I mean, I guess it's still the best thing out there, but I don't know. Don't fucking tell me this is going to be some free speech platform while it's not, and expect me to gargle your balls. I'm just not going to. I mean, it's cool that you've created something that's better than others, but don't tell me that you're this principled whatever, and that we really have this free speech platform. Well, we don't. I'm going to say, no, we don't. I'm going to address reality. I mean, I don't know. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, I don't know. All right, let's check back in the chat. I've been rambling for a while, but I know this kind of has got my goat a little bit. I guess kind of the point I was getting at too with the influencer class, and I feel like it's kind of reflective here with this response, is I think people just either are not aware or are incentivized to not include that into their calculus or to minimize these things that I'm going to go into. because with like the Tim Pool saying, oh, this is an op. And you're like, no, you've kind of really poked a bear that already from the didn't really seem to agree with you. And then on top of that, then you just completely demean them. And then once you go which we'll get into, and then you go past demeaning to the point where you're implementing tools on your platform to minimize these people's voices and to remove them or their money. So it's like, people aren't going to like that, and they're going to create a reaction. So, I mean, it is what it is. All right, let's before we get into the Elon stuff, let's go. This is from one of you guys. This is from Short Nephilim at Short Nephilim. This is something he shared to us. So I have a feeling this is about let me share. Here we go. It says, remember that DC madam who ran an escort service for government elites? She told Alex Jones she wasn't suicidal and then was promptly suicided. Guess who blocked her client list from being revealed? Judge Merrick Garland. Now, I will say before we get into this, this is obviously Austin's realm. Austin Picard, my co-host on Already Dead. So this is obviously more his realm than it would be mine. But I do recall one of the supposed call girls or DC madams, because there's multiple, he has kind of come around to thinking that she may be some sort of fraud. So is it this one? I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there so, that to keep, I'm not saying, honestly, anytime we cover anything, I'm not saying buy everything I say. You should probably look into the things I say. Don't just fucking, accept, hook, line, and sinker, whatever I'm saying. I'll try to usually back it up with sources and stuff, but I'm just telling you right here, this is just a 2-minute video we're going to watch together. I don't know anything about this chick. I don't know whoever this DC madam is. This is not my realm. This is Austin's realm. If you really want, we can maybe bring this up on Tuesday if it is interesting, but just saying, this may be a crock of shit, but either way, there have been multiple DC madams, so whatever. I think maybe some of them are crocks of shit, some of them aren't. There definitely are prostitution networks that service the elites and probably do very unsavory things. So, I mean, it's not that crazy that that's a thing. And of course, it's also believable that there would be one that would be intentional disinfo. That way later it can get pointed to of like, well, look at this one, the elite can point to kind of discredit all the others. But all right, let's go ahead and play it.
And the lawyer who represented a woman convicted of running an escort service for well-heeled customers in Washington, D.C., says that he wants to release more information from the case, but he cannot legally do so. One America's John Hines has more on the case.
The U.S. Supreme Court has denied a request from a lawyer who once represented a woman known as the D.C. Madam to release records from her famous escort service. The records were ordered sealed back in 2007 and contain information that the lawyer in the case says could affect the 2016 presidential election. The lawyer in the case, Montgomery Blair Sibley, says that he wanted the Supreme Court to lift a lower court order keeping the records sealed. And the judge presiding over the lower court where the case sits bottled up, that would be D.C. Circuit Court Chief Judge Merrick Garland.
In this particular case, he's the chief administrative judge there, and therefore he has his hand on the throttle or the brake of the processing of all the cases. My case has been up there since March 9th. We're closing it on 30 days. I did make a motion to expedite it based upon, the Wisconsin primary yesterday and other compelling factors. He's ignored that, and they're just sitting on it.
Sibley says Garland's court has kept his case from even being considered. But Sibley is anxious to make the documents public because he believes there is information, phone records, and names of the D.C. Madam's customers that voters should be aware of in this presidential primary season.
What I want to know, I don't know if I missed at the beginning, maybe we'll have to rewind and look, is when this was. Because this is from OAN. I don't think OAN's that old. So, and if this is what I'm thinking of, this was from like a while back. But all right, let's keep playing.
Season.
Primary yesterday that may have changed the balance of power, that who knows what the voters would have done had they had the information that I'm being gagged from releasing.
The so-called D.C.
Oh, yeah, well, they're showing like campaign stuff of Ted Cruz and Bernie Sanders. So what was that, 2016, if I recall correctly, or maybe even before that? So all right, let's keep going.
Madam Deborah Jean Palfrey ran a high-priced escort service in the D.C. area for several years before Jean Palfrey ran a high-priced...
Jean Palfrey. Now, I will say I don't believe that's the one I recall being like he was convinced it might be a fraud. So I don't know. I don't know enough about this one. Just throwing that out there. Do your own research. Either way, interesting.
Escort service in the D.C. area for several years before her conviction in 2008. She died later that year of an apparent suicide. One of her clients was Louisiana Senator David Vitter, who is retiring from the Senate. John Hines, One America News, Washington.
All right, many such cases, not at all unusual thing. There have been multiple. Nick Bryant's covered a few of them. Yeah, it's not at all uncommon. All right, let's pop back in it. Oop, yeah, Elon. Oh, I still had this up the whole time. My bad. Elon did snap. I sent you a Twitter DM. You know, let's check that out. Let's go over to the messages. Oops, sorry. It's accidentally. I didn't realize accidentally doxed a Shane one. All right, yeah, well, just so you guys know, looks like I might begin Shane back in the show here soon. All right, Elon himself talks to himself in a space hosted by himself. What level of insanity is? This might actually be the clip I have up. We'll check this out. I'll check this out for later. Actually, I'll go ahead and bring this tab up now and have it ready to go. But yeah, I'm pretty sure that might be the one. There's a few different ones. We'll get into that. The insanity goes deep, guys. For those who aren't terminally online, even for me, I'm like, whoa, the lore goes this deep. There is what many people are considering. Oh, actually, I don't think I have this one, so I'm looking forward to this one. This is Elon talking to himself, likely, because for those who aren't aware, this Adrian Dittman character, which is apparently which is another account on Twitter, is many people are thinking is Elon himself, and I am kind of pretty much on this boat, and I think you guys may be too. After we analyze a few pieces of evidence, it's bizarre. This is what I'm saying when he snapped. Like, and to be fair, like, I don't know when this account was created. I guess the snap may have been for a long time, because this wasn't. It looks like he's had an alt that's been amping himself up for a while. So, guys, I think we're dealing with someone with a legit God complex or some shit. All right, let's go through some chat real quick. This is Joey Poopak. I've been watching Jesuit history vids. Those guys are monsters. They make Masons and Jews look like good little boys. Yeah, I haven't really ever, I'll be honest, I don't even really entirely know what the fuck a Jesuit is. So, Jesuits via the Masons created the Civil War, then drug it out to kill more Protestants. Arcane says almost our wars to kill Christians. Septards, real target. The psyop is Doge. People say that though, and here's the thing. Maybe it's true, but I don't know. I don't trust Elon, so I'm not really. This is the equivalent to me of like how. I guess this is a similar dilemma to the past few years where everyone in my sphere has been like, oh no, guys, we gotta vote Trump. Kamala's so bad. And you're like, and it is, yeah, you're correct. Like, Kamala, especially on paper, if you look at all these guys' stances, if you look at Trump's stances on things, you look at Kamala's stances on things, if I'm comparing the two, and if I'm assuming that their stances on things are actually exactly what I'm going to get, if that's how the world works, if, politician A says, I stand for X, Y, and Z, and then politician B goes, I stand for A, B, and C, and I get to choose between those two, Trump is better. In that sense, in my opinion, Trump is better. But how does this actually work? How do these dynamics play out? What actually gets implemented? And I think there might be something to that same dynamic here when it comes to Doge. Like, what are we really gonna? Are we really gonna get them to cut anything of substance really at all? Or are we gonna get fiddling around the edges while these tech bros find their pet projects and push them through? Like, keep in mind who Elon Musk is. I trust Vivek probably more than I trust Elon, to be frank. So, like, I'm more like hesitant to throw out Vivek than I am to throw out Elon, if that were the case. So, I don't know. Like Vivek, like, yeah, I mean, there is the stuff where it's like, it looks like, I believe, if I recall correctly, the lore is that he essentially capitalized off of IP and kind of did some sort of pump and dump sort of scheme of some faulty product, or I don't know. So essentially from a libertarian or even like he's an impressive businessman perspective, not really, is my understanding. But at least, like, I mean, I have heard, it seems like he's very much on board with our takes. He's intelligent. I don't, he seems more in line and more stable. Like, I don't know what this fucking dude's deal is. And also, he's got his hand in far less scary pots, if that makes sense. I guess you could say Vivek probably, if I had to guess, I don't know his finances, is probably tied into the pharma world. But, Elon, like, dude's literally a fucking war profiteer. Like, you guys know that, right? Like, this is not libertarian Jesus by a long shot. And he may have said a lot of things about, like, he'd like to cut X, Y, or Z, but I bet you there's also a lot of shit he wants to increase. And also, you got to think his vested interests and what they are and how that could play out in the future. I don't know. So I'm just saying, like, you're not necessarily wrong in that, like, maybe this is oh no, they want to split up Doge, but it's like, I don't know if it's really that bad. And I'm also, is it really that I'm not going to call out Elon for being a fucking spurg fag just because Doge may be decent? Although Doge could do far worse, more damage than it does good. Just by effect of being connected to these two and whatever things they push. And then now you have this MAGA movement tied down also by this Elonism or whatever the fuck, to where now they have to sort of kind of go in line with the things he says, which I'm even saying with this H1B1 thing, the original thing, I probably might lean more towards him. I'm just saying, like, the insanity he stooped through in the meantime is wild. All right, let's see. I DM'd. Okay, this is absolute genuine pushback by people with children and actual jobs, not commentary work. Yes, exactly. So there are a bunch of socialists in MAGA. Let's call a spade, 100%. Arcane says people were under the impression that free speech meant Elon being wrong on some issues. Turns out he doesn't like being wrong. Yes, he struggles. Like, he has been huffing his own farts on Twitter is what it seems like. And I kind of feel bad for him, honestly, because this is like, I mean, I've had a Twitter, I've spurged out on Twitter before. I referenced on Tower Gang that there was like forever, like early days when I didn't really understand it. And I'm probably I wouldn't be surprised if I'm a touch under the spectrum. Dennis, guys, Dennis, the guy who like impersonates people, pounded a twink, whatever guy on Twitter, for those who know aware of him, he impersonates people occasionally. He did that to me once and I freaked the fuck out and I kind of lost my fucking mind. And then later I was like, I was being insane because I just didn't get the joke and I was being a little autistic and I was just like, what is this? And then later you're like, I get it. All right. I get it. I was the butt of the joke there, but it was like, it comes for everyone. I mean, we've been cool since then. I've had cool things with Dennis, but point being is like, that is kind of like the autistic spurg and that's what he's kind of having. But it's like, I just don't, there's too many people. He's created this space where there's too many people who are incentivized to amp him up and suck him off and tell him how great he is, that I just think he's created this little autism, little like safe space to where like he gets to continually believe he is correct about everything in every way. Which could, I think, lead to some issues here. Which I don't know. I mean, I guess, sure, if we get a free speech, if he really does, and I'd almost wish he would say this. If he would just come out and say, excuse me, this company is being run like a monarchy, essentially, which is fine. Like, this is my product, and I'm going to act how I want. If he wants to include that in the terms and services somewhere to where, hey, I can do whatever the fuck, whenever I want, whenever, fine. I don't give a shit. Like, I'll just never talk about Elon. I'll never interact with him anymore. But I think a lot of people will do that, and he'll just kind of get siloed into irrelevance. So I don't know if that's really the path he wants to go to either. But I don't know. I guess I just more or less just want, like, hey, just be straight up with me what this is. Like, this isn't free speech. This is my this is my version of what Twitter was before. This is where I want to curb things towards my message. At least you're being upfront with us. I'm cool with that. Like, don't lie to me. Joey says you can call me a fag in my house. I'm cool with that. Let me see. Shit's gonna get better ain't gonna get better until it breaks. I don't know. I mean, maybe we'll see. Vivek is a scammer and Elon is a demon. Perhaps, I don't know. You should have made Elon's toilet a MAGA toilet for the thumbnail. Hey, it's AI. I don't want to overload it. You ask too much, it gets too wild. Even with this one, I added to the prompt to make it Elon, and like even the Elon face is kind of. I had to do a few tries before I got anything worth a damn, and even the one I got was all squinty and goofy. So it is what it is. But all right, guys, let's see what else we got. Let's get into before we get into the Elon smut. Let's cover, and this is actually partially because I want to grab my water. I accidentally forgot to grab my water before this. But Jimmy Carter died. And instead of me trying to go over it myself, because I don't recall anything about Jimmy Carter. Frankly, I wasn't alive during Jimmy Carter. I don't have a strong recollection of that period of time. Here is Scott Horton. I believe this is from Enough Already. Time to, which one's that? Trying to look at the thing before it scrolls off. Damn it. All right, whatever. I was trying to read it, but then it keeps scrolling over. It's from his book Enough Already. I forgot what the subtext of Enough Already was. Time to End the War on Terror, I think. Yeah, I think that's what it was. Yeah. So this is 4 minutes on Carter's legacy in regards to foreign policy specifically. So I'll play this for you guys. Once again, I know I'm kind of just basically stealing Scott's work here, but I don't think he'd look at it that way. I feel like Scott would just be happy that this is being shared. And I'm giving dual credit to him. Go check out this book, Enough Already. Great book. He's also got Provoked that came out recently. Enough Already. What was the Fool's Errand? That was what really made me, I guess, fall in love. No homo with Scott. It was that book. That was a great book. I read that a long while back. I haven't read Provoked yet. I've read Enough Already, and I've read this. I'll probably wait for Provoked till it comes out in the audiobook, to be honest. So, I mean, especially because I've heard that's a fucking tome. So, for those who really, really, really want to get in the weeds of Russia, Ukraine, U.S. relations, there's your book, Provoked. Yeah, that's a. I'm too busy digging the Oklahoma City bombing. I need to wait for an audiobook to come out. But here's 4 minutes on that from Scott, and because he'll do a much better job than I could possibly do.
The real story of America's war on terrorism begins with the Iranian Revolution in 1979. It was a broad-based revolution against the American-supported dictator, the Shah Reza Pahlavi, who had been installed in power by a CIA-backed coup in 1953. Now, the American people, when they think about the Iranian Revolution, usually conflate the revolution itself with the hostage crisis that actually didn't break out until 10 months later, after Jimmy Carter was convinced to allow the Shah into the United States for cancer treatment, which caused a riot and the seizing of those hostages. Importantly, the Reagan campaign and the CIA made a secret deal with the Iranians to hold those hostages longer in order to weaken Carter and secure the election of Ronald Reagan in a scandal known as the October Surprise, a relationship which later grew into the Iran-Contra scandal as well. Also in 1979, the Carter administration embarked on a policy of covert support for the Mujahideen of Afghanistan, fighting against the Soviets' communist puppet government in Kabul. They did this with the express purpose of attempting to lure the Soviet Union into invading Afghanistan. The thinking was, since the American people had the so-called Vietnam syndrome and didn't want to fight any more proxy wars to contain Soviet communism, perhaps they could, as they put it, give the Soviets their own Vietnam. A horrible no-win quagmire that breaks the bank and divides the society back home. And so with this express purpose, they supported the Mujahideen beginning in the summer of 1979. By Christmas, the USSR did invade, whether in direct reaction to that support or not, and proceeded to fight a decade-long war there that killed as many as 1 million Afghans. In response to the Soviet invasion of Afghanistan, Carter not only stepped up support for the Mujahideen, but announced the Carter Doctrine of American military supremacy in the Persian Gulf, under the supposed threat that the Soviets could invade Iran next and come to dominate Middle Eastern oil supplies. So the Carter administration announced that any attempt by any other power to dominate the Persian Gulf would be considered an attack on the United States itself. As part of this, they increased support for Saudi Arabia and began installing military bases around the Arabian Peninsula, as well as gave the green light to Iraq's Saddam Hussein to invade Iran. You see, Saddam Hussein had his own Shiite revolutionary problem. He was sitting on a secular government dominated by Sunnis ruling over a 60% Shiite Arab majority. And he was afraid that the Iraqi Shia would choose their religious sect over their national and ethnic sect. So to preempt that danger, he conscripted them all and sent them to invade Iran, an attack which failed to overthrow the Shiite revolutionary government in Tehran and instead led to a World War I type stalemate war and also led to the deaths of approximately 1 million people, half on each side. And this is where Ronald Reagan's administration picked up from Jimmy Carter in 1981.
Check out my writings at antiwar.com, my show at scotthorton.org, the Libertarian Institute at libertarianinstitute.org, and my books, Fool's Errand, Time to End the War in Afghanistan, and Enough Already, Time to End the War on Terrorism, at enoughalreadybook.net.
All right, there we go. Let me see. Let me go make sure that's off in the background. All right, cool. Sorry. There we go. All right, cool. I just realized I'm a fucking idiot and I need to pay the bills, guys, real quick. I do remind you guys, should have done this at the beginning is my point, but sorry guys. I do remind you guys that today's episode was brought to you by Nado Shave Co. If you're tired of that razor burn irritation and ingrown hairs caused by those deep penetrating multi-blade cartridges, and this is the way to go. You don't need that expensive bullshit. You can shave just like your grandpa used to, whether you're shaving your whole face or edging up your beard. The single blades give you a barber grade shave for a fraction of the price. The standard issue includes one traditional safety razor, as pictured here, and a box of 100 stainless steel razor blades. $75 to shave for a whole year. I mean, that's just the guess, but let's be real. It's probably going to last you a lot longer. I've had mine probably over here, barely put a dent in it. But if you're someone who shaves on the regular, that may not be the case. If you're shaving every day, you may want to consider the Quarter Shave Club, and that puts you at about 25 cents per replacement blade. He's also got shave soaps and 3-in-1 body, hair, and face soaps as well. Stuff smells good, feels good, great stuff. COVID mandate refusing company. This company was born out of refusing the mandate. Also, use code Jose for 10% off your entire order. Support companies that support your values. And hey, if you like the show, they support us as well. So, hey, a little bit of, again, two birds stoned. Hell yeah. Go support these guys. Use code Jose for 10% off your entire order. All right, guys, let's get back into the show. Let's check in with you guys. Raven's show is on right now. That motherfucker, you bloody, you liar, you kick my dog. That motherfucker, he should know better. No, I'm just kidding. It's all good. It is what it is. I guess our time slots just line up, whatever. Joey Poopbag says, Jose, did you know Reagan's campaign slogan was "Let's make America great again"? He started Star Wars program like Trump's Space Force. Ronald Alien Invasion One World faggot Reagan. Okay, I get. All right, sorry, the last sentence was worded weird, so it threw me off. Yeah, no, those are interesting parallels. I mean, I guess he is kind of like a Reagan figure in a lot of ways, sort of. Trump's going to hit us with the alien psyop right in the beehole. It does feel that way, doesn't it? I mean, I've said many times, I don't remember what show. I feel like I almost need to go listen back to my stuff to call it. I definitely called the Operation Blue Beam bullshit. I called that ahead of time. I absolutely did. Not too much long. I want to say it was before the Cliff High stuff. I think it was before that. Before the prediction, before even I was aware of it. So I think it was shortly before that, around that time. And I said, yeah, because someone had asked me, because I'm kind of known as being one of the OKC guys. So I was like, they're like, oh, is OKC bombing going to fucking happen? And there was a period of time where I was like, I felt like it was a strong possibility. I didn't anymore. I don't really right now. And, maybe in the future, I don't feel like the timing would be correct for something like that. But something like a blue beam, yes, I did and do, and I definitely called it. So, and I think maybe even going forward, maybe even more so. I don't know. It depends on how far they want to take it. As with this latest fucking drone story, it's kind of I don't know. It seems like it simmered out. I think it peaked at where it peaked. And maybe that's it. Maybe that was. I mean, I really feel like that the feeling there was just kind of go as far as you can with it. But I don't know. I guess it's one of those ops you can just try every once in a while. Maybe seed some more spooky, alien stuff in the media to get people more amped up, and then drop some more drones type thing. That way to get them all amped up. I don't know. I think it really is just a matter of how much pandemonium gets worked up over it to how far the story goes. Doctori says Joe Rogan's guest was saying they have been having these sightings burst for 3 years and they would end around Christmas. Drone test site in Jersey. Yeah. And I feel like most of the Rogan alien guests the ones who are actually like killing people are probably a lot. Let's be real. A lot of those guys are probably just straight up disinfo agents. And that's not to say that Rogan is a disinfo agent. I'm saying that those people probably are. All right, I guess where to start? I'm trying to find a good spot to start for some of the Elon craziness. Let's go here. Share this tab. This is, I don't remember if we covered this on Friday. Actually, never mind. I guess I don't think I brought it up. My bad. Here you go. Never mind. I didn't have the tab up. All right, here it is. Sorry, 1 second. All right, back on the tab. All right, this is from Clint. He shared this, said apparently this random small account posted a screenshot of a fake tweet from Elon and got nuked from orbit within a few hours. This is concerning. What time was this? I mean, if I could see what time it was, I could tell you if we'd covered on yesterday's show or not. But I think this happened after the show, I think. So when we had talked on the show last, there was that whole H1B1 thing. If I recall correctly, in all this drama, when we talked about this on Friday, I told you guys that there was like the immigration conversation sprouted up. Elon got, crazy ratioed by like a 300 follower account. And then we got the new information that now, well, guess what? In Twitter now, if you're blocked or muted by larger accounts, you get deboosted by big verified accounts. So like, say for example, a perfect example here is my buddy Clint. He has 215,000 followers. This is my co-host on Tower Gang. He has a blue check. He's monetized. He has subscriptions. So if for some reason I piss off Clint and he blocked me or muted me, guess what? I'm deboosted now. Now, he did say something like it's offset by likes and stuff and blah, blah, blah. But either way, it's a deboost. So it's like that's another tool that they're able to tamp down your message. So if, say, Clint and a bunch of his buddies, which luckily Clint's not really like this, and he doesn't really roll like this. If anything, he's like one of those large accounts that's kind of hanging out with the smaller accounts because he's like, he's co-host and Tower Gang. Like, we're all around like 10K or so. I think Top has like 40. So, anyways, point being is this way to tamp it down. He shared this thing here, though, of what looks like, you see on this thing, you see post no longer exists. Elon saying that's a lie. Do you make this lie? Post no longer exists. Where'd you find this lie? It's saying from Elon, post no longer exists, liar. So obviously it looks like, if you understand how Twitter looks, you look at this and like, oh shit, this guy got fucking nuked. Is what it looked like. And some people were able to somehow get the screenshot of it. So here is the screenshot. I gotta zoom in for you guys. So here we go. So here's this post from someone called USA Reject. And I don't know if it's a cross or what, at sad return, which no longer exists, obviously. And I believe it was something like 1,000 follower account or something. It wasn't a big account either. So it's just kind of weird. Like this wasn't like really his interactions. The only thing that gave this any sort of relevance whatsoever. This would have gotten 5 fucking likes and disappeared into the void. But anyways, he shared this tweet of his that says investing. It's this fake tweet, I guess, because people were trying to get him on his words or whatever. So this guy says, Elon, delete this tweet. The tweet said, investing in Americans is actually hard, really hard. It costs money and time and effort to make a person productive. It's a short-term net loss. It's much easier to bring in skilled workers who might not do quite as good a job, but will work for a fraction of the cost and be happy just to be here. Now he's saying Elon deleted this tweet is what the claim is here. And then it says later the image is fabricated, although I don't really know why someone would make this fake tweet or whatever. It's not even really that, that egregious, I guess. It's not that offensive, in my opinion. I don't know. Obviously you could disagree with it, but wasn't anything like shitty in there. So either way, and then Elon says, that is a lie. Do you make this lie? And then, obviously I made a joke. If we were on the actual thread, you could see I said, oh no, fucking Elon's been taken over by the Haji MK Ultra or whatever. I forget how I put it, but it was funny. But the joke being is that the cadence or the delivery here is weird. It does make it sound like some Indian is the one who's saying this. But Elon's saying that's a lie. Do you make this lie? USA Reject says, I found it elsewhere. Is it fake? Elon Musk says, where did you find this lie? And he goes, it was posted on Reddit. My mistake. I didn't realize it was forged. Elon, liar. which is like, I don't know. For one, you don't know that he's lying. Like, how the fuck would you know this guy's lying? I guess, though, actually, he could know. I guess he could have looked through this guy's DMs and then saw, like, he was in some group chat being like, haha, look at this fake thing I made. And so he's like, ah, ha, ha. But, I mean, if that's the case, that's even more insane. Like, that he's using this to go through individual users' DMs or something, which is like, holy shit. Like, that would be, yeah, you definitely need to put that in your terms and services if that's a thing you can do, because creepy. Although, I mean, let's be real. I mean, they probably can, but it's still, I don't know. I mean, if that was what, I doubt he did that though. I really think he just like was like liar, even though he doesn't fucking know. I think he's just like literally off his rocker, which this is what kind of seems to start. It looks like they deleted this account for what could be a completely innocent mistake, which I guess I don't really know what the terms and services. I guess technically maybe it falls against some sort of terms and services. Either way, this is where then it started to fall. Let me see if I can find that. And here's another one. We got the I believe this is from Chief Trumpster. It says breaking all affiliates of Project Groip, which I don't know what are banned. There has been no explanation, and there's a bunch of different accounts that are just gone. And this Project Groiper had, I guess, 7,000 followers. So yeah, they're just gone. And I believe what I heard through the grapevine is that these were accounts, I believe, that were in some sort of spaces with Elon, because that's been a big part of this. Is, I guess, as I've referenced, there have been like multiple ratios and things of the like there. And this is just kind of, I believe there was people in the in like spaces that were also basically dunking on him. He was getting lots of shit. So like, because my understanding too is he went to a bunch of spaces. He's been kind of like interacting like crazy. So this is part of why people are like, what is this dude's deal? Like, he's which I guess he's like very much an active user on Twitter anyways. And there's a little bit of sadness in that this literally started, I believe, on Christmas is when this whole discussion started. So it's like, what the fuck, dude? Like, do you not, what is going, why are you being so active? I mean, don't get me wrong, I've definitely been on Twitter and like whatever, people do, but like to that degree, you're like, dude, what are you doing? I mean, I don't know, I guess he's CEO, so maybe it's just not that big of a deal to him, but either way, it's, I don't know, weird look that started on Christmas. He kind of is unraveling, people are getting removed, it seems like, for disagreeing with him. There also was a bunch of people who lost blue checks. I don't have any tabs for you or any tweets or anything like that for you. But like, for example, Cassandra McDonald, who used to be the booker for Timcast, I believe she lost it. I mean, the rumors there, I believe Clint covered this, I believe, somewhat on his episode with Top Lops on his channel. I believe they were they'd covered some of this. This was, I believe, on like Friday. So this was like after I had covered it on my Friday show, but before I'm covering it. So I believe they went into kind of the details of some of this. The people who got in trouble, I guess, at least got their check marks removed and monetization and subscriptions removed. Those people, I guess, supposedly were somehow connected to some sort of Loomer story, which I guess I don't know, something to do with like doxing someone or something, the wrong person. And so I don't know how these other people get involved. If maybe it's because they were boosting the story, but even then, that's kind of wild. I don't know. It seems bizarre to me. It really feels like flimsy, and like it really is just these are people who are upset at him, because they're also the exact same people who are upset at him about the H-1B1 things. All right, let's go to more. All right, let's get into some of the funny Adrian Dittman stuff. Here is one. Okay, cool. This is different than the one that Arcane shared me, so I guess we'll probably play both. It says, breaking, Elon Musk using a cheesy voice modifier on his Adrian Dittman account. It says MAGA will have to fucking deal with it, because Elon is the only one to give these fucking crackheads a voice. You ungrateful motherfuckers. Seriously, get over yourselves, richest man. Now, I do want to remind you guys that we don't know that this guy is Elon Musk, but like, obviously you guys are probably, I'm assuming, if you guys aren't, terminally online, like, like I am, I guess, I don't even know if I'd say I'm terminally online. I'm not that too bad. That you guys are probably very skeptical. You're like, this sounds insane. But he has a whole other account just to, it sure seems that way. I'm telling you, I've looked at so many different videos, tabs, this guy, that guy, that I'm like, I've gone to the point where and listened to him so many times that I'm like, I'm struggling to believe it's not him. And, the way he talks too is like someone that's I don't know. He's amping him up. It just seems like he is. I don't know. You guys will see. I guess I'll kind of make this argument as you go. I just feel like I'll still probably be lacking because there's probably only like 2 or 3 maybe of these. But you guys tell me what you think. I mean, especially since a lot of you come in this fresh, or maybe some of you aren't, because this is wild. This is weird shit. But let's go.
And ironically enough, some elements of the extreme legacy MAGA movement will have to deal with it as well, because that's how it is. And don't hate the fucking big tech bros, because out of all of them, Elon is the only one that's giving all of these crackheads a fucking voice. I want you to try and pull that shit on fucking Facebook and see how long you last. You ungrateful motherfuckers, seriously. You keep crying censorship this, censorship that. You're not censored. Your takes just suck. Get over it, and get over yourselves. Honestly. I'm not an enemy of anyone, but if you hate me for saying this, so fucking be it. I don't care. I'm part of what's new. You get to make that choice yourself. Do better.
And tell me that dude doesn't sound like Elon. I think I don't think I have the clip here where he's interacting with Clint, but we might have played it on Tower Gang. I can't remember, and I believe, no, maybe we didn't. I don't think we did, but I think he played on his stream with Top, so you guys can probably go check that out. But Clint was in one of those spaces for sure, and he was kind of got into it. I can't remember how their interaction went, but Clint seems to be on the edge. I don't think he's ready to say it's Elon. I don't know, dude. This is Elon. All right, let's go. I mean, I'm looking for more of this. Oh, maybe the only other one I do have is the one from you. But yeah, let's I guess share what's Arcane sent. Actually, no, I have one more that's not a video. That's just like a picture of something he did. But let's do, here we go. This one right here. Here's the 2-minute 21. I guess I haven't seen this one. So this is new. This is from one of you guys, Arcane Arsenal. It says Elon Musk talks to himself in a space hosted by himself. What level of insanity is this? Let's see. I mean, especially with him talking to himself, we might be able to see if there's a break and what your feelings are. All right. But yeah, let me know what you guys think.
I mean, I can't, honestly, I don't believe you're not me.
Yeah, that's a theory.
That's
a theory. People think I'm legitimately your.
I don't know, because they're talking somewhat at the same time. Unless he's got something, I don't know how he would be able to use tech to set that up. They're talking at the same time, so maybe not. All right, let's keep going.
Your clone. There's been theories that I'm one of your Neuralink experiments. Can you clarify that I'm not one of your Neuralink experiments, or maybe I am and I wouldn't realize it? Because that shit's vast. How are your monkeys?
Well,
how are your monkeys? I don't know. How's the test subject?
No, the weird thing is you even ask.
All right, I will say, okay, just to get a little conspiratorial, if we're going to make this work, if you listen to the laughs there, and maybe I'm wrong, because I was saying they're talking at the same time. You listen to the laughs, and they weren't. So, I mean, at least I didn't. I mean, maybe I missed. I'd have to listen to it again. Maybe there was actual speaking. But it was just like laughs, which I feel like you could easily have canned laughs that you just play. But I don't know. Maybe it's overly conspiratorial. But for a tech guy like Elon, who literally has an AI, one of the premier AI chat things built into his fucking, maybe premier is not the right way to put it, but one of the big, well-known AIs built into his actual platform. I don't know. It wouldn't surprise me if he has a way to make that happen. But I don't know. If anything, I gotta say this is kind of so far counterintuitive towards. This actually pushes back against the theory that Adrian Dittman is him. But as I said, I think maybe it's just laughs, so that would be easy to fool. I don't know, but maybe it just seems way too much for someone. But all right, let's keep going.
Ask questions in the way that I would ask questions.
Autism.
And your sense of humor is quite similar sense of humor. It's eerie.
Yeah, I know. I still remember the first time. God. Oh, God.
See, even the laughs are creepy. They're almost like they're thrown in as if they're like proof. God, I'm like overanalyzing this. I'm losing my mind. But yeah, because those laughs seem weird right now that I've noticed that. The laughs, it's almost as if they're intentionally thrown there as like proof. Like, look, see, that's not us. But all right, keep going.
I still remember the first time. I still remember the first time when I The first time I found out about you was actually in early 2016. This is when I watched SpaceX rocket engine experimentations on YouTube. I was like, man, this is the coolest shit I've ever seen. It's going to be next level big. And a significant other actually showed me a video clip of you and said, hey, bro, this guy sounds like an older version of you. I'm like, what are you fucking talking about? Here, this guy, look at him. He's talking about hydrogen. what do you mean he's talking about hydrogen? I listened to this and I was like, what the fuck is going on? So this is the first time I realized that something's not quite right with this world. Probably like a bug in the simulation. And even if there is one, I'm pretty sure I cause a lot of disruption. Recently, as I'm sure you're aware, there's a mass meltdown. There's like an account that's doing rage farming.
God, the laughs! I'm telling you, the more and more the laughs are so bizarre. But all right, let's keep going.
So like, it's
Like, they
so
feel
good.
canned.
Like these people, what they've done is they're trying to pin on you that you've suspended an account because it did targeted harassment. Well, it's not suspended. They actually deactivated their account. Now they're trying to do rage farming. Now they're going to spread it on the news everywhere. Be like, dude, I'm complimenting yourself. It's like the stupidest thing I've ever seen. I was gonna let it happen, but then I said, you know what? I don't want thermonuclear warfare just yet. For me yet, like I'm not gonna have that. Ever since yesterday, even I do Diablo live streams, everything. It's all over the place. It's inescapable now.
Yeah, I don't know, man. This is I don't know I don't know. I'm not trying to go on a. All right, let's move on from the Adrian Dittman thing. Actually, there's one more thing on the Adrian Dittman front that I wanted to show, especially if you're still buying into the idea that they're the same person. Here's an old photo, and I guess there was a few different ones like this, but this is probably the most like, oh my god. Here's Elon from January. It says, "My son, little X, loves clinging precariously to my back and yelling monkey rides." Happy face or like laughy face emoji, and then it's just kid on his back, cute picture, and it's Adrian says, "You are an amazing father, Elon. Your kids are very lucky to have you." And it's just such a bizarre thing. I don't know. It just, especially if it's like it's coming from him, it's odd. All right, let's check in with the chat. See what your thoughts about this, because it's like I don't know this. Yeah. All right. Let's check in with you guys. Oh, geez. All right. Let me see. That's Elon. He's saying here. Yeah. Sounds like AI to me. Yeah, like an AI Elon. Maybe not. I literally thought it was Elon when I heard the guy talking. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, maybe it is just an uncanny account that has just kind of gotten notably known for it. But there have been a lot of these like little screenshots or videos and just so many little things where like, it just sounds like he's talking about himself. This sounds like someone talking about themselves. So we see it's definitely Elon. Doctori says there's definitely something slightly rhythmically off about Adrian. It could very well be a very advanced voice AI. Yeah, that's what a lot of people point out, is that he talks slightly quicker, which it was hard to tell with that one with both of them, because it literally was like one and the other, and they sound almost exactly alike. Hard to tell, but they had a slightly different cadence. The Adrian one goes slightly faster, very slightly. Not much though. So it is like, I mean, so you would have to think that I guess he increases his speed of talking if he's doing it himself as Adrian, and then slows it down as Elon, but it's not like over a lot. So I feel like it would be enough that you could consciously do and not be bizarre. Yeah, here you go. Carson says just have some pre-recorded drops on their laptop. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, all the spots where they like talked over each other a little bit is like it seemed like the laughs, they felt canned, canned laughs, or like there was one time it was almost as if like he was stammering to say, like, so that could be easily things thrown in. I don't really feel like it would take it wouldn't be too much of a magic show to pull that off. Hey, what's up, Richard? Richard's here. Said Trump went on radio shows as John Barron Trump. Okay, it's just spokesman, but it was actually him. That's pretty wild. That sounds believable. It says you can't convince me that someone who constantly sucks off SpaceX and sounds like Elon isn't Elon. Yeah, that's the thing too. Is like this account like basically is like exists to just suck off Elon and like is basically all the same exact fucking interests. So it literally is just like, this is basically him. He's like supposedly, I know there was some, different, I've seen a bunch of different tweets pointing out like all the interesting in it. It's like the Adrian Dittman account, I believe. It supposedly owns some sort of large company, spends a shitload of, there's so much that's exactly like him. So here's Elon, or said, I sent another DM with AI tech from 6 years ago. All right, well, let me check out that other DM real quick. Let me see. You're saying you sent another one. I'll check it out real quick. Take that down so you guys can't see it. Let me see. You sent another one. There you go. The tech from... Oh, okay. Never mind. You sent me a thing that says a Google Assistant calling a restaurant for reservation. Okay, so I get what you're saying. You showed me in the... I'm not going to mess with that now because I'm too tech retarded and I don't know. I don't want to click on things I don't know. But this is actually, I think it's a YouTube video, but it's a Google Assistant calling a restaurant for a reservation. Fuck it. Let's go ahead and play it. Let's share. Okay, let's watch this. I got it up. Let's add to stage. This is what you sent me, actually. This is a Google Assistant calling a restaurant for reservation. So this is from 6 years ago. So let's do it. So keep in mind, this is AI. This is from 6 years ago. This is a Google Assistant calling a restaurant for reservation. So, and then bear in mind that we just watched that little Spaces thing with Elon. So the question is like, could he pull this off? Literally the world's richest man who specializes in tech. And then here's just probably some Joe Schmo 6 years ago calling a restaurant for a reservation just for some fucking YouTube video. But,
Can I hear you? Hi, I'd like to reserve a table for Wednesday the 7th.
For 7 people?
It's for 4 people.
4 people? When?
they even got the ums down, like mannerisms as well.
Next Wednesday at 6 p.m.
Oh, actually, we leave here for like after like 5 people. For 4 people, you can come.
How long is the wait usually to be seated?
For when, tomorrow or weekday or?
For next Wednesday, the 7th.
Oh no, it's not too busy. You can come for 4 people, okay?
Oh, I gotcha. Thanks.
Bye bye.
All right. That was interesting. All right, let's check in the chat, see what you guys would say. Elon is a dork, yes. Not odd if you realize he's psychotic. Yeah, he seems that way. Andy Kaufman, everyone, this is also a trait of AI voice stuff. It always speaks a bit too quick and gets cadence kind of wrong. Okay, yeah, that's interesting. Why would he use his own voice, though? LOL. You'd think he used a totally different voice if he's sock puppeting. I mean, I don't know. I mean, because the thing is, I would guess that he probably wouldn't entirely AI it, if I had to guess. That he probably enjoys actually just being himself and that would also just be a hassle to have to AI everything. But I'm sure he has it set up to where he can. So, I mean, I lean more towards that, like, he may just pick up his cadence himself. And because, I mean, yeah, I don't know. I don't think he'd have as much fun with it if he had to put everything through some sort of AI modulator or an input in AI or whatever the hell he has to do. I just feel like he probably just wants to do it himself to have fun with it. Because I don't know, he probably gets off on being this Adrian Dittman character who gets to love Elon and doesn't have to deal with the responsibility of being Elon. So, yeah. Doc Torrey says, if it is him, pretty smart to have an alter to let out frustration that would otherwise impede your goals. Yep. Issue is if he is running fake accounts and using them to pump his companies, the SEC could come down on him. So if he gets busted, there could be legal ramifications. But I think Elon is made man, so no. I mean, that'd be pretty wild to get busted by the SEC for having fucking alt accounts. That is wild. All right, let's see what else we're gonna. Here's another one that kind of show where people's upset is at. So. Here's a tweet from someone saying, stop trying to optimize something that shouldn't exist, in quotes, let's optimize H1B, in quotes, obviously making fun of Elon because, this is people who disagree with him on the H1B thing. I keep saying H1B1. I think that's a virus. Well, H1B, these are different things. Anyways, it's because this guy, Steven, quote tweeted this thing from Elon where he, I guess, said exactly that. So a tweet from Mario Nafal saying, stop trying to optimize something that shouldn't exist. I don't know. I'm assuming some sort of, little speech about that concept. But Anyways, and then Elon responds, that's unimportant. The reason I'm in America, along with so many critical people who built SpaceX, Tesla, and hundreds of other companies that made America strong, is because of H-1B. Take a big step back and fuck yourself in the face. I will go to war on this issue, the likes of which you cannot possibly comprehend. So, and a lot of people got upset by that, and honestly, I think kind of rightfully so. I just think he's taking the wrong candor here, and him, along with a lot of his fucking his acolytes, the big influencers, have kind of taken the immediately knee-jerk went to racism, and kind of pulled that card and saying this is like a racism thing. And like, you know what? To some extent, sure, probably. Why not? Yeah, I sure maybe some of this is whatever you want to call racism. But at the end of the day, racism really is this fucking vague concept. It means nothing really. I mean, what do you mean by racism? If you're talking in-group preference, then yeah, sure. Yeah, whatever. If you're calling that racism, yes, this is racism. I'm sure a lot of this does come down to in-group preference. I mean, sure, I guess it is bigotry if you prefer Americans over non-Americans, but I think it's perfectly fine concept. I mean, I think it is, how do I put this? It is fair for someone who gets stolen from every month by an entity to have the feeling that that entity should, if it is to exist, prioritize their needs and wants. I don't know, not that crazy. I mean, now obviously this can lead to all sorts of issues with direct democracy and such, and people exploiting government, but I completely get I don't think there's some evil thing in people that say, hey, I'm being stolen from and I'd like to get some sort of return on my investment here. I don't think it's that crazy. Now we can disagree, and I actually probably do lean towards Elon on this one. Generally speaking, especially now, I know H-1B depends. Like, what are you talking about? What is it? Especially, it seems to be the way these tech bros are trying to frame it, is if it's like these high level, people they're trying to nab from other countries. Like, this guy's top in the tech, whereas it looks like that's not the case, and you're trying to hire, Sar Pajit to work at fucking 7-Eleven or whatever. Which is almost like an indentured servitude to inevitably get your immigration status, or your citizen status. I don't know. I can see why people have issues with that, and I think that's completely fair. And I think trying to say racism is going to piss off people, and I think coming at them like this, being like, I'll go to war over this, like, this is just stupid. And he has, Elon, there's other tweets I'm not going to bring up where he said like, oh, there's a racist component in the Republican government on the heels of this stuff that we need to remove. So they are very much playing the same, oh, we'll just call them fucking racists. And I think people are beyond sick of it, and acting like this with the same leftist bullshit tactics is just going to keep pissing them off and making this worse. But him and all these other large fucking influencers are in this, incentive position to where a lot of them are either aware and just fucking twisting things to fit their narrative, or they're just so sucked and lost in the sauce that they believe this, and it reinforces itself because now they're in this situation where agreeing with Elon is in their incentives, especially if he's going to reform the algorithm to comport to that, to where, hey, you disagree with me, you step to me, you lose monetization, you lose account, you get deboosted, you step to other large influencers, they mute you, they block you, you get deboosted. You are creating incentives. It's just that's what's going on here, and that's fine. Just like, to some extent, just be upfront about it. I don't like it, but like, it is his company. But that doesn't mean, in the same breath, it's like saying, I go to a restaurant and there's a fucking rat turd next to my fucking my sea bass, and if you go, what's their company? They can put rat turds next to their sea bass if they want, and go, well, that's fucking, I don't like this company. And then I think it's fair to complain about this. It's fair to put it in a negative review. So, I don't know. All right, let's pop in the chat, see what you guys have to say, and then maybe get into some more actually substantial fucking content. Racism is the white word version of the N-word. Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, basically. All right, let's see. Oh, did I not even have that tab up the whole time I was on there? I had that up or talking about it. Oh, okay. I don't think I had that up. All right, here's the tweet. My bad. All right. Let's see what else we got. Oh, here's one more on the Elon. I'm trying to see, use up the tabs I have before we get into some of the more deep stuff. Usually try to save some of the article stuff, long reading towards the end, in case if you losers want to dip out. Oh, I didn't mean to share this tab. Oh, oops, my bad. This is what I mean. My bad. Sorry, guys. You're listening to me ramble through trying to find fucking... I thought I had the one I wanted. Here we go. Here is... So it's Tom Hennessy. Apparently I ratioed Elon twice yesterday. I had no affiliations and I've never been monetized. I paid for X Premium. He canceled all of it. So this guy wasn't even monetized. He just lost his check mark, which is like, I mean, whatever. Not a big deal, I guess. I don't know. I'd be annoyed with that, actually, because supposedly you get a boost for that. So it's like, the only reason, I know a lot of people like to make fun of people like me. You're like, you're complaining and you have a blue check. And you're like, dude, I have a show. So I have reasons to want to boost things, so like it just makes sense for me to, and you're telling me I can pay money and get a boost. I mean, I'll be honest, I wish I had some sort of like substantial way to find out what kind of boost I'm actually getting, because I don't know if I even really believe that. I've never really felt any sort of boost. If anything, I feel like the stances I take and the people I probably piss off, if anything, probably deboost me still. I know there's this idea, especially amongst normies, that this is a free speech platform. It's still not. It never has been. Which, I mean, I kind of ranted about that earlier. I mean, it's better, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, the point being is like, I do pay for X. I mean, I'm sure there's a certain point to which I no longer pay for it. I'll be honest, to some extent too, there is like the check mark is like the flimsiest form of credentialism to some extent, and so I guess to some extent it's good for me having a show that like people are like, oh, this guy's a blue check, but I mean, it's just kind of like a quick visual indicator that this is someone that's not just a normal user, but I mean, I don't know, whatever, and it's not that big of a deal. So if I lost my blue check, not a big deal, but it is just it's just wild. It just seems like an autist throwing a hissy fit. So all right, actually, I promise. All right, one. Well, no, fuck it. Well, if you guys want to hear what Whitney Webb has to say about Elon and his connections to Epstein and that the like, we'll go into that later. I'm gonna cut that short for today. I have a couple things I'll save for tomorrow. That way I don't blow my wad too early in the week. There probably is gonna be quite a few of these this week. It's a lot of slow shit at work, so I have a lot of days available with you guys. The holiday season is when shit gets rough. Okay, I have one article. I had two articles. I'm gonna cut it down to one for you guys. We'll save the other one till tomorrow. I have another. We're gonna keep up with our Luigi Mangione coverage, but more of a expounding on the side of things of how looks like they really are gonna actually use this to amp up the domestic security state against us. So we'll get into that tomorrow. It's not really too dependent on timing. Let's go to the chat real quick before I go into our last bit of content. Said, not one more single immigrant. I read it just like you put it. Unless it's a white person with a spotless record. All right, well, if you say so. I know a lot of people got to go. I mean, sure, maybe. I don't know. But as I said before on my Friday episode, I'm not really the strong, border hawk guy. But I'm also not it. I'm very don't give a shit about the issue. I understand both sides of the argument. I do, and if anything, the funny thing is, like, my going deep into theory, all it really did is make me moderate on immigration, because I learned to understand both sides of the argument, and I literally came to a Hoppian understanding somewhat. So I still don't even know if I 100% agree with it. And the idea is the Hoppian side is that essentially, both sides of this, both government borders or having no government borders, are both essentially infringements upon us, because I mean, this is private versus public, and in a truly private world, and when there wasn't this coercive entity, we would all have private borders. So there is no real libertarian solution to either way. So I mean, at the end of the day, it kind of comes down to really. Well, I'm not necessarily advocating it. I guess if you do want a functioning immigration system in a country, you kind of got to try to understand what's the closest thing to how this would work in an actual free situation. So the example always being something like a park. Like if the government steals money from you to make a park, how should that park be used? Any way you use it is going to be oppressive towards somebody. So, yeah. Jose is getting sent back. I'm a fake Mexican, sir. So fuck you. For those who aren't aware, this is a pseudonym. I just want to be clear. None of you guys think I'm lying to you. It's a made up name. It's always has been, always will be. Maybe one day I guess I'll tell you my real name. I don't really have much to lose. But why? Why fucking have to deal with you psychos fucking bugging my fucking beautiful wife and kids? But all right, let's here's the last thing of the day, guys. We're going to get into here is a piece from Richard Booth, who was in the chat already. This is something we reference in this episode that will drop Friday with Jonathan Franklin. He referenced, and he himself basically called a spook. I don't know if he used that exact word or asset or what, but he said he ran into this individual that he tried to get an underground kind of like paramilitary magazine from. That way he could gain the trust of McVeigh when he was interviewing him in jail. And this is the story that Richard wrote back in March on this exact guy. So it kind of weird it worked out like that. So we're going to read that now. Also, I do want to throw it out there for those who enjoyed that episode, because I'd say, it hasn't been released publicly yet, but that was probably my most viewed patron episode, if that makes sense. So far as those of you who actually financially support me, this seems to be the episode you guys cared about the most so far. Because obviously I'm just basing this on the people who actually showed up for it live, and obviously, and then the views after the case. And the reception in there. So, it is cool that you guys seem to really like it. So I'm looking forward to you guys dropping it. But point being is, I think I haven't hit up Jonathan yet, but I was talking to Richard. I think I might want to set up that conversation. Let me know if what you guys think about that. Do you want a Jonathan Richard conversation? I think that'd be really interesting. There are a lot of little tidbits in there that came up in that interview that I just was not knowledgeable enough to pick up on, or just like I hadn't really gone down that specific rabbit hole. So I think it would be really cool to go. And there was a lot of stuff that I wanted to dig into that I was just like, we just, don't have time to go down that go way deep down there. So I don't know. I think it'd be fun to maybe bring Richard on with Jonathan. I'll have to, obviously got to hit Jonathan, but just throwing that out there for you guys. That idea has already been kicked around amongst me and Richard. So, all right, let's go ahead and get into it. From Richard Booth, it says, meet the spook assigned to report on OKBOMB. Meet Lawrence Myers, sometimes called Myers or Mayers. I don't know if the spelling makes a difference there. A man who began researching and reporting on the Oklahoma City bombing the day it happened. Below, you can see Myers from an episode of A&E's biography where he was one of their featured experts on Timothy McVeigh and credited as a correspondent with Media Bypass magazine. Looks like fucking... kind of looks like a young James O'Keefe, sort of. And I know, Richard, you saw I wasn't... I know, I need to subscribe. I told myself that last time. I actually mumbled it to myself, but I will subscribe. I don't know, I don't like emails. But it is what it is. All right, I will subscribe for sure, though, because I actually do pretty much read all your stuff. Relatively little is known about Myers today. His body of work since the Oklahoma City bombing seems to consist of only reporting on that subject. Prior to the Oklahoma City bombing, Myers was a published author whose books were put out by Paladin Press, a known CIA-connected publisher. Now, for those of you who have been paying attention to the show for a while, particularly this morning dump, we have covered Paladin Press. They were the one that we went on this wild thread where they were literally releasing books that essentially gave how-tos for hitmen. And the like, and other things along those lines. Obviously, Richard's about to give examples of this. Yes, we went on a whole. They went to like a ritualized killing. Very, very clearly glows. But obviously, he's going to give you more examples of that. But we've already kind of covered this already, so it's kind of interesting seeing it come back up. Upon closer examination, Myers' books look a lot like thinly disguised instruction manuals designed for use by CIA-backed freedom fighters and terrorists such as the Contras and Mujahideen, with titles such as Improvised Radio Jamming Techniques by Lawrence Myers, Electronic Guerrilla Warfare is the subtitle. So there's, that one, that was just the picture one. There's Improvised Radio Detonation Techniques, improvised radio jamming techniques, counter bomb, protecting yourself against car, mail, and area and place bombs, smart bombs, and probably hitting the D-boost on YouTube with saying bombs so many times, improvised sensory detonation techniques and advanced weapon systems, spy comm, covert communication techniques of the underground. On the morning of April 19th, 1995, Lawrence Myers showed up at the offices of Media Bypass, an alternative press publication that targeted the burgeoning patriot and militia demographic. The magazine had a circulation of about 5,000 subscribers and was based out of Evansville, Indiana. All right, it was there in the Evansville offices that Myers sought to offer his services as a reporter with the particular subject matter expertise on mad bombers. Obviously suspect, literally on the day of the bombing. This was reported in the alternative media at the time, with Brian Redmond's Conspiracy Nation mailing list detailing the story in Volume 7, Number 37, in a feature by legendary muckraker Sherman Skolnick titled The Oklahoma Bombing and the Story of a Magazine, which is excerpted below. All right, yeah, the excerpt from it, Conspiracy Nation, Volume 7. At the time, in the magazine's offices was Lawrence H. Myers. Did anyone at the magazine that day note a key point? Others now claim Myers was there before 10 a.m. their time, 9 a.m. Oklahoma time. That makes a difference since it was, like 9:02 or something when the bomb went off? All right. So he wanted to be hired as a writer to write about serial bombers, presumably the Unabomber, to demonstrate his credentials. So, okay. So the idea is people, that would make a little more sense if he's coming at 9 a.m. on April 19th. If he's there for the Unabomber, because if he's there for other bad bombers, that's weird. But still, weird how it worked out. To demonstrate his credentials, he brought along 4 books authored by him, published by Paladin Press of Phoenix, Arizona. Did anyone take note? They published items primarily catering to soldiers of fortune, that is, mercenaries. Myers also said he wrote magazine articles. His books apparently show how to build bombs from ordinary materials and explicit instructions how to build remote detonators for explosives. While in their offices, news came out that at a few minutes after 9 a.m., there had been a terrible bombing of a federal office building in Oklahoma City. Magazine officials immediately contracted with Myers on a week-to-week basis and dispatched him to Oklahoma City to report and write on the tragedy. I mean, I will say this guy literally was asking for a job to cover mad bombers at probably the best time anyone could ever ask for it. It's literally minutes after the bombing. So, for example, the grand jury, Myers went on to cover the story for Media Bypass, and along the way, he was involved in a few rather interesting things that led one to conclude he might have had an agenda. For example, grand jury assigned to produce the indictment of Timothy McVeigh had one grand juror, Hoppy Heidelberg, who was frustrated by the inability of grand jurors to ask witnesses questions or to request to see some evidence. Heidelberg made his frustrations vocally and in writing to a judge and the prosecutors, and eventually was allowed to ask witnesses the grand jury questions, albeit the DOJ stooges required him to launder the questions through the prosecutors before he could ask them. Oh, a little bit went around the wrong hole there. Sorry, guys. Heidelberg also said that FBI agents who visited his home made an effort to try to intimidate him. Sorry. I told you someone went onto the wrong hole. I took a sip there. All right. All right, see where I was. Heidelberg also asked the FBI agents who visited his home made an effort to try to intimidate him. Clearly, Heidelberg became something of a thorn in the side of the establishment. Enter Lawrence Myers. When he was through with his work, Heidelberg would be kicked off the grand jury, thus solving the DOJ and prosecutors' evident problem. Myers' actions relating to the grand jury debacle are detailed well in the New American, Volume 12, Number 7, published April 1st, 1996. This is titled OKC Grand Juror Vindicated by William F. Jasper. It was after 10 p.m. on February 29th when this reporter, William F. Jasper, rolled into Oklahoma Stallion Station, the thoroughbred stud ranch of Hoppy Heidelberg, south of Oklahoma City. It had not been an easy day for Mr. Heidelberg. A few hours earlier, a kick from an uncooperative mare had dislocated his right shoulder, leaving his arm in a painful and severely disfigured position. The paramedics who would respond to his son's 911 call were aghast at the grotesque rearrangement of the horse breeder's physique and the obvious agony it was causing him, but apologetically explained that they were not permitted to touch his shoulder. They could take him to the emergency room in the ambulance, however. Heck, I wasn't going to pay $500 for an ambulance ride, said Heidelberger. Instead, he had his son, Houston, drive him into town. But with his arm twisted around and sticking out backwards, just getting in the car was a trick in itself. And the ride was excruciating. Then the doctor had a devil of a time putting the displaced appendage back in its socket. Proof positive. But in spite of the pain, exhaustion, and the restriction of an arm sling, the spunky horseman was in high spirits. He had just acquired the proof he needed, in which he had been seeking for the past 4 months to clear his name. On April 24th, U.S. District Judge David L. Russell had dismissed Heidelberg from the federal grand jury that had indicted Timothy McVeigh and Terry Nichols for the April 19th bombing of the AP Murrah building. Heidelberg was accused of having violated his oath of secrecy by allegedly leaking details of the grand jury proceedings to Lawrence Myers of Media Bypass magazine. In this letter of dismissal, Judge Russell warned the dissident juror that his obligation of secrecy continues and held out the prospect of fines and prison for any disclosure of jury proceedings. Although many have commended Heidelberg for attempting to uphold the rights of jurors and expose misconduct and cover-up by federal prosecutors, much of the media treatment has tended to cast him in an unfavorable light to present him as anti-government, right-wing extremist. The day this writer arrived at his ranch, he had just weathered another round of criticism and condemnation. Television news coverage of court hearings the day before had carried interviewers with some family members of bombing victims who had harshly criticized the former jury for allegedly jeopardizing the indictments. In a February 29th article, the Daily Oklahoman quoted a woman whose husband had been killed in the blast as calling Heidelberg a nut. Anybody who would break the law the way he did, I don't think that's right, she said. He took an oath and he apparently didn't think that was worth a whole lot. Honesty bypass. Heidelberg had contended from the beginning that he had not been the source of the leak to Media Bypass, but he had been unable to prove it until now. How then did the media obtain its information about the jurors' run-ins with the federal prosecutors and his objections to apparent attempts to cover up evidence and witnesses concerning John Doe number 2? Using answering machine tapes and tape recordings of telephone conversations he had just acquired, Hoppy Heidelberg pieced together his timeline for the New American. April 10th, 1995. The grand jury delivered its indictments against Timothy McVeigh and Terry Nichols. Early September 1995. Heidelberg contacts Nebraska attorney John DeCamp to represent him. Concerned that federal prosecutors are stymieing his legitimate efforts to question witnesses and carry out his sworn duty as a grand juror, and convinced that an effort is underway to protect the identity of certain suspects named John Doe 2, Heidelberg is seeking legal advice regarding his options. Now, real quick, I do want to back up John DeCamp. He is a character which I don't know quite enough about him to really get a strong read on him, but he is buddies with William Colby, with a previous CIA fucking head of the CIA. He's the one where you got like I believe it was maybe it was Colby, maybe it was somebody else, but who gave the fishy fucking quote about prior to the Oklahoma City bombing about how like the domestic underground or whatever the Patriot movement or whatever you want to call them is like one of the biggest threats to the government right now or whatever. He has some fishy friends. I forget what role John DeCamp. What was he? A senator? Whatever, or at one point, I forget what he was, congressman, senator, something like that. I believe he had some sort of political position. He's also the one who wrote the first Franklin Scandal book. I forget which one, the title of that might just be called The Franklin Scandal. So it is like, I don't know, like it just seems weird. He's got like spooky friends. There's been I've seen people claim he's like a disinfo agent before, or he's kind of like a limited hangout, but I don't know. Just saying that he is someone that like he's always caught up in a lot of stuff as well. So I don't know. There's a lot of times you could easily position him as a hero, or you could position him as a villain, depending on how you look at it. And I'm unsure, so I don't fucking know. I'm just throwing it out there. He is involved in a lot of shit. All right. Heidelberg is seeking legal advice regarding his options. Unable to get free to interview Heidelberg himself, DeCamp sends his investigator to do the attorney-client interview. DeCamp says he never authorized his investigator to bring anyone else to the interview, apparently fearing for Heidelberg's safety. However, the investigator decides to videotape the interview and brings a video producer along with him. Heidelberg refuses to be videotaped, but allows the producer to sit in, believing the interview to be protected by attorney-client privilege. Okay, so he met with somebody for DeCamp, thinking it would be attorney-client privilege, essentially seeking legal advice. September 23rd, 1995, at the Sports Edition bar of the Hilton Hotel in Pasadena, California, the video producer relates Hoppy Heidelberg's story to a group of 5 or 6 people at his table. One of those in the group is Troy Underhill, research director for Media Bypass. Underhill notifies Lawrence Myers, Media Bypass's lead investigator on the Oklahoma City bombing. Okay, so this video producer then shared it. Okay, holy, that's kind of wild. The investigator decides to videotape the interview and brings the video producer. Okay, all right, so this producer initially said it was for safety, is the way Heidelberg said it. Okay, so this seems really fucking sketchy. So this was stuff that should have been covered by attorney-client privilege, somehow ends up in Lawrence Myers' hands or ears or whatever you want to say. September 24th to 25th, 1995, Lawrence Myers contacts the video producer and learns the identity of the grand juror, Heidelberg, and details of the grand jury proceedings. Myers then contacts Heidelberg and intends to get an interview. On advice from DeCamp and due to his own wish not to break the story before the grand jury completes his tour, Heidelberg refuses to grant an interview. And to my point that I was saying about DeCamp before, I mean, obviously this could just be someone working for him that's shitty. I mean, this was leaked from, trying a video, recording a video of an interview to meet with the campus, essentially. So, all right. So, I don't know. I mean, that could just be completely have nothing to do with him, but that's bizarre. Let me see. Heidelberg refuses a grant interview. September 26, 1995, Myers tapes a telephone interview with the video producer based on the information the producer heard during the privileged interview between Heidelberg and DeCamp's investigator. So Myers tapes a telephone interview with, I read that too quick, with the video producer. Okay, so now Myers is interviewing the video producer and recording that shit. Got it. Meyer then leaves a message on DeCamp's voicemail. I've already got the whole story. He will not consent to an interview. Meyer says he intends to run the story anyway, and it would be better if Heidelberg would talk with him. DeCamp advises Heidelberg of the message. Both believe Myers is bluffing, and are not aware that the video producer has leaked the story to him. Okay, so this guy literally was threatening Heidelberg with this. Myers calls Heidelberg, so essentially threatening him. No, not threatening. He's saying almost as if like you might as well just go ahead and interview anyways type deal is what I'm getting. But because I'm going to release you either way. Myers calls Heidelberg, who takes a call in an effort to determine whether or not he is bluffing. It is soon evident that Myers is not bluffing, that someone has indeed divulged intimate details of the grand jury proceedings. Heidelberg plays along to find out who leaked the story. No regrets. The tape recordings bear out what Hoppy Heidelberg has contended all along. 1. That he was frustrated by the failure of federal prosecutors to present important evidence and witnesses, and by their attempts to intimidate him and prevent him from exercising his right to question witnesses. 2. That he pursued all legal and honorable means at his disposal to address what he viewed as a terribly flawed process. And 3. They had no intention of leaking the story to the press and was not responsible for doing so. Although it cost him a great deal of heartache and turmoil, Heidelberg is not bitter about it, nor does he regret the leaking the story. In the long run, it was probably a good thing, he says. Otherwise, I may have never have gone public with this, and an enormous injustice may have just been done. As I've said before, the reason I was so concerned with the way the grand jury was going was that it looked like the whole truth was not going to be allowed to come out. And I think the families of the victims have a right to know who all was involved and to know that every effort was made to bring all involved to justice. I like to think that my efforts contributed to making sure that happens. Mr. Heidelberg has shared with the New American the names of the investigator and the video producer, but has requested that they remain confidential. So yeah, not a good look for Myers for sure. A little bit of a not good look for DeCamp too, and then definitely that producer as well. Yes. All right. Around the same time period, 96 and 97, researcher J. Orrin Grab published some police reports on Myers from the mid-1980s. Those police reports show Myers engaged in threats, intimidation, and extortion in California, including an apparent committal in a mental ward during that time. The report can be found on a backup of Grab's website here. Sherman Skolnick also continued reporting on Myers. In Conspiracy Nation volume number 47, number 44, Skolnick claimed that Myers is a counterintelligence agency, which I believe that was the same one we just read. So, yes, that was the same one we just read. Volume 7, yep, volume number 7, sorry. Or, wait, is it volume 7? Is this not the same thing? New American, volume 12, number 7. Okay, different volumes, I guess. Either way, or different public Conspiracy Nation, or oh no, that's a New American. This is Conspiracy Nation. But in Conspiracy Nation, I guess in one of the I forget what the notes or whatever they call them at the end. In a previous exclusive story, we told you how the chief investigative reporter of a new radical magazine is reportedly a counter-intel agent for the U.S. government, Lawrence W. Myers. His specialty, according to books he has written, is the making of bombs and remote detonators for explosives. His books are published by reputed CIA proprietary called Paladin Press, publishers of books for mercenaries. Paladin is also closely aligned with another reputed CIA proprietary, Soldier of Fortune magazine. So, I mean, I think at this point it's pretty dang clear to anyone who's familiar with these entities that this is basically just a full-on CIA op happening behind the scenes here. I mean, obviously we can never know that for certain, and that's kind of the purpose of these. But I mean, there's so many, at certain points you get so many nodes, so many little dots of information that to not connect them becomes almost foolish at a certain point. So, in Conspiracy Nation, Volume 7, Number 79, Skolnick said that Myers worked for Wackenhut. Once again, another glowy thing here. I'm just going to read the highlighted portion. He's reportedly highly skilled in counterterrorism, an expert on bomb making, and had worked for the adjunct to CIA, namely Wackenhut, for terrorist problems. We have talked about that ad nauseum on Already Dead. It comes up so many times in my conversations with Austin about Wackenhut. So, once again, another clearly glowy entity. What was the CIA-connected figure like Myers doing ingratiating himself into the alternative press? Was he a dispatch asset playing some kind of role? In addition to the Hoppy Heidelberg debacle, Myers also appeared to have engineered an unusual photo op with Timothy McVeigh. Resting on the table in front of Timothy McVeigh in that photo was an issue of the New American magazine, which had been running hard-hitting reports on the Oklahoma City bombing. Bill Jasper, editor of the New American, later expressed concern about this photo, and some suggested there was an effort to impeach the magazine by having a photo of the convicted bomber taken with the magazine in front of him. I mean, it is odd, yeah. I mean, the magazine's in front of him. I mean, I guess you had to make it look, I guess that kind of could look bad. I mean, I guess I'd have to know when this was used and for what. But yeah, it is a little bit of a weird op. The full story concerning Myers is yet to be told. Until then, all we have are the various allegations detailed here, which paint quite the unusual picture. Myers was involved in the Chuck Hayes case, where the defense secured testimony from FBI agent Stephen Brannon, which revealed that Myers had served as an FBI source or informant at least 3 times. Here it is right here from the trial. It says, question, or Q. Now you indicate in your testimony at the trial, though I couldn't find a specific request for it made at trial, that you had prior contact with Mr. Myers in 3 or 4 other cases where he had provided information. Do you recall that testimony? Yes. Okay, so that was so that's the between the Q and A. So you have the question from the from the defense, and then A would be Stephen Brannon, the FBI agent. So he's saying yes, we have essentially done that at least a few times. Find the 1997 Brannon testimony here. It has also been alleged that Myers served as some kind of asset for the prosecutors in not only the Hayes case, but also in the federal and state trials of Walter Moody, a convicted mail bomber. The Moody's case's federal prosecutor was, perhaps significantly, none other than Louis Freeh. Knowing all this, the question remains, who dispatched Larry Myers to work OKBOMB? And you know what? I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to subscribe to... I'm going to go ahead and subscribe as someone right now. See, the Liberty Movement Global at gmail.com. If you guys ever need me for any email related stuff from me, feel free to shoot me an email there. But boom, now I subscribe. Just skip, boom. Maybe later. There we go. All right, cool. Now, and this is okcfacts.substack.com. He has lots of great work here. We'll go ahead and go to the homepage. See, I mean, look, he's written so many pieces. Roger Charles essays. There's, we covered this recently. The documents about the within 1 week of the bombing, the OKBOMB bomb rob connections. So yes, I mean, look, boom, boom. I'm just scrolling through. These are articles. These are all like mostly fairly dense articles, with lots of great information there. So highly recommend you guys check it out. I've read most of these, if not all of these. So I do recommend that big time. All right, let's go ahead and pop back into the chat, and then I'll say our goodbyes and get the fuck out of here, guys. Yeah, let's see. Well deserved, Jonathan Franklin rocks. He sure does. The Fed's favorite publisher in the 80s and 90s. I'm sure referring to Paladin Press. Yep, 902. See, I knew I was correct. I was on the right situation. DeCamp was a senator. Yeah, he was buds with Colby. Yeah, I was right. It was Colby. Cool. And Colby told him basically that the Patriot movement is the biggest domestic threat. So yeah, not a disinfo agent though. My only point is that just like if you look at his connections, I've heard people make this claim before. I don't know. And I mean, obviously being buddies with Colby, just a bit, I mean, obviously even just this situation itself, it makes you wonder. I mean, how does he really not have that grip of his people below him? I guess, I don't know. I'm just saying it's possible. But all right, guys. Yeah, as a congressman, you do end up having reason to talk to people like Colby. Yeah, it's true. That's fair. So it's kind of hard. It says thank you, Jose. Thank you, Richard. You're one of my good buddies in this. But yeah, I'm going to make sure there's no Rumble rants. I do remind you guys, if you do want to make sure your comment is read, absolutely, definitely go on Rumble rants and do that there. You guys can support the channel. If there's other ways for you to support the channel as well, you can go over to patreon.com/nowayjose2020. The lowest level is $2. And the $2 gives you early access to the episodes like that Jonathan Franklin episode I've referred to multiple times now. That will be coming out on Friday. I also will be recording on Thursday another episode that will be behind the paywall for a week again. I'll be recording with a new upstarting YouTube channel called Chicken Broth, who recently has done a few videos on like 09A, 764, Sutter, type of, essentially neo-Nazi, satanic, Fed type, that realm. So we're gonna have like a kind of a cool conversation about essentially neo-Nazi, satanic, Fed stuff. Basically, is what we're gonna be talking about. So I'm really looking forward to that conversation. It'll be fun. He's put a lot of like great content. So I'll be on Thursday. But if you want to get early access to that stuff, that's the $2 level. Also, you can be a talking head on Already Dead, which is my live stream I do with Austin on Tuesdays at 9:30. So that is on the second half of the show, about 45 minutes to an hour in. We do call-ins, and you can do a video call-in if you're a patron. So you can come on there and talk with us, and that's the low level, $2. Also, as I've said multiple times now, I meant to do it this weekend, but I ended up working both days this weekend, so I didn't really have a chance. But I have a lot of days this week, so I think one of these days I should be able to sit down and nerd out and figure out how the fuck to do this, because I think I know how. But I should be doing an RSS feed. I've also had a lot of you guys complain, so there should be here soon a free RSS feed for patrons. So for supporters, there should be soon. I believe I know a way to do that on Patreon. There's a free RSS feed there, so you'll be ad free. Well, free, I mean, as in ad free. So you can get rid of the ads. You can do an ad free there, so you'll also get that hopefully here soon for $2. And also just for everybody, I've heard multiple people complain, especially for these episodes, because these episodes it would really come in handy for that. Putting like timestamps. There's a way to do that, but it's like a whole I have to do my transcript, do an AI thing, and then I'm going to do that soon. These are the two things on my priority list. Is essentially setting up my whole descriptions, timestamps, all that. There's a way to do that where it can have detailed stuff. It looks really nice, look like really good for you guys. Make it easy so you can jump to whatever topics you want to listen to. You can look at chapters, whatever, and then also the ad-free RSS feed. Now the ad-free RSS feed is taking priority. Okay, I'll be frank on that, just because that's I want to give the supporters something, and you guys should just watch the whole damn morning dump anyways, or fast forward. You can kind of guess. Just fast forward a little bit. Nope, that's what they're talking about now. If you really want to listen to a specific thing, but I will get that soon. I'm just throwing it out there. But just letting you guys know the priority list of things I'm trying to do for you guys to up the stuff. But if you want to get the soon to be ad free RSS feed and the early episodes and the be able to be a talking head on Already Dead, that's the $2 level. The lowest level of patreon.com is NoWayJose2020. The highest level is my sponsors. I read them off every episode. It's a big thanks to you guys for supporting me for what I'm doing. I also have my co-host on Tower Gang at Tower Gang Toad. I also have at Abrogate D's, at ZOVERACK, at _Invent Zeal. I have Tim Tuttle at Jolly on Cleebowl. He's one makes a lot of these dope edits. Will Bell makes delicious blueberry rabbit eye wine. Big fan of the show at Real Josh Elliott. Torn May as well. Then I also have a new one. I have at INWARD Lover, at Inward Lover, is on Twitter. That's a new one I got these, and I think it's great. I love that name, Inward Lover. I think we need to all start looking inward and learn to love ourselves and all be inward lovers as well. Okay. So I think at Inward Lover, go give him a follow. Appreciate the support, buddy. But yeah, like, share, subscribe, comment, all the good stuff. You also want to support the show. A lot of people forget about you guys can leave 5-star reviews on wherever you listen to it on audio, iTunes, Spotify, the like. But yeah, if you're watching this and you're not hitting like, well, screw you, dude. Hit that like button. It's super easy to do. Takes nothing from you. Helps support the channel. Just little stuff like that. Drop me a little high in the comments. Give me your opinions on the episode. Stuff like that. Helps a lot. But with that, guys, we're going to go ahead and get out of here. Unless there's any sort of like last minute something or other is in there. Someone talking about their poop. I'm not going to bring that up because that's gross. But yeah, deuces, everybody. We're out of here. Bye.